vastly different experience than me and a lot of people that I know. So
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so who's to say which version is correct and if that's reflective of the whole? What do you mean?
Trump will win because
his supporters are crazy.
Because if people
I mean, that could be why.
Like me and Luke, the libertarian.
Tim Pool absolutely broke this woman, Jamie Mitchell, who is the founder of Gays Against Groomers. And if you didn't watch my video yesterday, I put all of the clips in that one, so go check that out after this one. You can tell that Jamie Mitchell has a very much emotional attachment to the Ron DeSantis campaign and also an emotional attachment to anti-Trump campaigns, and I don't know if she's been paid off by the Ron DeSantis campaign. I don't know if Gays Against Groomers has been paid off, but all I'm saying is we know that other media companies out there have been paid off, and her talking points seemed like someone who, quite honestly, seemed like she was paid off. And whenever she went on Timcast, she definitely got destroyed by Tim Pool, and it looks like Tim Pool actually broke her, like I said earlier, because she had an absolute meltdown on Twitter afterwards, and I believe it's still ongoing. It's kind of early in the morning right now when I'm recording this, so it hasn't started quite yet today, but I'm sure later on we'll see some more anti-Trump tweets, a lot of anti-Timcast fan tweets. Let's check out some of the ones that she has already put out since the Timcast IRL appearance. Here is Jamie Mitchell saying, "To the diehard Trump supporters, I want to be nicer to you. I want to have rational discussions, but I want you to understand that if you are someone that 6 months ago believed Ron DeSantis was the greatest governor in America and now think he is a deep state establishment rhino with no evidence and only based off Trump's attacks, I hate to say this, but you are in fact a victim of a cult. Most people out there that I personally know that are Trump supporters that would vote for Trump, like myself, over Ron DeSantis, don't think that he is some deep state establishment rhino. I just think I like Trump more because he is 100% not a deep state establishment rhino. He is not a politician, and we'll go into that even deeper later on. He hasn't been groomed to be a politician his whole life. Ron DeSantis is definitely part of the establishment. The guy is a politician. That doesn't mean that he's not the best governor in America. He definitely is the best governor in America. People are going in droves to Florida, fleeing states like California, even fleeing states like Texas, who in some parts of Texas, people don't like the way of living there, and they're going to Florida from everywhere across the country. There's no doubt that DeSantis has done a great job with Florida, but his marketing for his presidency has just been lackluster, to say the very least. Like, it's just been bad. And when you're going up against someone like Donald Trump, who is a marketing master, it just doesn't look that good because, one, DeSantis hasn't come off as very likable, in my opinion, and we'll go over some of that later on as well. But two, Trump is very, very likable. And also, it just seems like DeSantis is not really being himself. He's trying to be too much like Donald Trump with the fake AI images of Donald Trump doing certain things that they actually argued. Tim Pool and Jamie Mitchell actually argued in those clips from yesterday. They argued about that, and Jamie Mitchell tried to downplay that entire situation where Ron DeSantis is straight up creating images with AI to show Donald Trump hugging Fauci and things like that, straight up things that he has never done. And that's just bad in my opinion, but let's get to the rest of these tweets. I don't know how else to describe this behavior. Literally nothing changed in Ron DeSantis' leadership. So many of you have amnesia and forgot how this all started. 3 days before the midterms last year, Trump's ego was bruised, and he lashed out at DeSantis unprovoked as he launched his campaign for presidency because he saw DeSantis was becoming more popular than him and has been baselessly attacking and demeaning him ever since. And what she's talking about here, I believe, and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on this, and if I'm wrong about any of this. But I believe what she's talking about with Trump lashing out at DeSantis because his ego was bruised was whenever he launched his campaign, Trump did, he called DeSantis Ron DeSanctimonious. That's what she's talking about. So this has a huge impact on her view of Trump, and yet Ron DeSantis creating AI images of Donald Trump hugging Fauci and doing other things that he's never done. That has no effect. She downplays that. It doesn't make much sense to me, and that's what I'm talking about whenever I refer to these people getting bought out by the DeSantis campaign. We know for a fact that other media companies out there have been bought out by the DeSantis campaign, and I'm not saying that she is. I'm not saying that her organization is or anything. I'm just saying the talking points seem really similar. DeSantis stayed completely silent and never hit Trump back in the entire time, and even defended him. Yet so many Trump supporters now claim Ron started it and he caused the division in the party. I really feel like I'm living in a bizarre world, and this can't actually be how my fellow patriots are acting. We are on the right. We are supposed to be the free thinkers, not just change our minds because someone tells us to. Anyways, that's all. Bye. She also retweeted this meme with Tim Pool and her having this conversation about zealotry and presidential candidates, and it says, "I have never seen such zealotry for a candidate before. You're talking about Donald Trump, right?" And then it's just Tim Pool staring blankly. "You're talking about Donald Trump, right?" So they kind of had a little bit of back and forth there. I think I might have put this clip at the beginning of the video. Tim Pool here was talking about Ron DeSantis, saying that his camp has had the most zealotry for a candidate ever before. before in the presidency. And obviously Jamie Mitchell disagrees and thinks that it's Donald Trump. I don't know if it's DeSantis. I don't know if DeSantis has the most zealotry that I've ever seen in a presidential candidate, but I also don't know if it's Donald Trump. I really don't know. I kind of think that's a pointless argument. Like, we should be talking about who has the best policy, who is the best personality, and who is the best fit for the presidency instead of the zealotry behind their campaigns, in my opinion. She also responded to this tweet who says, "Who cares, Trump 2024?" and one of the responses to her clips from Timcast last night. And she says exactly my point, talking about the zealotry, I believe, in the Trump campaign and the Trump camp. And he responded and said, "I'm sorry that DeSantis didn't change my mind." She also said this in response to someone saying that DeSantis was boring and sounded like a douchebag when he speaks. "Trump speaks to you, not at you." And Jamie Mitchell responds to this and says, "Trump speaks to you like he's speaking to a first grader." And I just couldn't disagree more. I think Trump speaks to you like you're a normal person, whereas these politicians speak to you like you're some robot or maybe like an interviewer that they're trying to get a job for. Every time I hear Ron DeSantis speak, and I'm not necessarily saying this is a bad thing for the White House. Like, if he were to get into the White House, I said this on stream last night, having a boring president would probably be a breath of fresh air. After the last two, you know, Donald Trump constantly in the news for saying some crazy shit. Joe Biden constantly in the news for pooping himself and wandering off stage and wandering off TV sets like a lunatic or like someone with Alzheimer's, which he definitely has. It would be nice to have somebody who's boring for once, you know, for at least 4 years. Having Ron DeSantis in there probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But whenever I hear him speak, and I watched this video on stream last night, and every single time I tried my best to watch and pay attention, I just find myself zoning out and reading the chat, and I just can't pay attention. He just doesn't captivate you. Whereas whenever Donald Trump speaks, I'm always listening. You know, I'm always listening. Maybe that's because I'm a first grader. Maybe I have the intellectual capacity of a first grader, because that's what Jamie Mitchell seems to think. Trump speaks to you like he's speaking to a first grader. Like I said, I just couldn't disagree anymore with that statement. And then there was also this that she retweeted, which is basically just Donald Trump saying a bunch of things that you wouldn't want your Republican candidate to be saying. Trump flew on that guy that I can't say his name, private Lolita Express jet 6 more times than was previously known. I like taking guns away early. Take the guns first, go through due process second. A quote from Donald Trump. Trump on Obama in 2009. I think he's doing a really good job. He's totally a champion. Trump in 2008. Hillary Clinton would make a great president. Former President Trump backed Stacey Abrams to be Georgia governor over Brian Kemp. Trump praises Newsom, Cuomo for stay-home orders. So as you can see, and there's a lot more that they also put in there, as you can see, Trump says some things that you probably wouldn't want from a Republican candidate in the past. But like I said earlier on in this video, Trump is not a politician. He hasn't been groomed since 2008, 2009 to be a politician. He hasn't been groomed to be a president. And that's why we like him so much. That's why so many people like him so much. That's why he was able to win, because he was that breath of fresh air that we've been looking for so long. So yes, he has said some things in the past. I think he was probably more on the Democratic side in the past. He's definitely one of the most left-leaning Republicans that there are out there, and definitely one of the most left-leaning Republicans that we've ever had as a president. I don't think that makes him an evil person because he said some things in the past that maybe he doesn't agree with now. I mean, these things were over 10 years ago. People can change, opinions can change. I don't really see how this is a gotcha, but there's no doubt there are some issues with Donald Trump and his presidency and his campaign. There's no doubt some issues. I feel like I'm always defending Donald Trump recently just because of how strong the DeSantis lovers really hate Donald Trump and really are attacking him all the time. I'm not some like person that thinks Donald Trump was all perfect and that his campaign, his presidency was perfect. I mean, the guy is still talking about COVID numbers in Florida. He definitely did some wrong things when it comes to the jab and the lockdowns and stuff like that. So there's no doubt there was some issues with his presidency and also his current campaign. But I just think that he's a much better candidate than Ron DeSantis. And I think he's probably going to win the Republican nomination. But let me know what you think in the comments about this whole Jamie Mitchell versus Tim Pool on Timcast IRL. Personally, I think that this caused a meltdown, and you can see it right here. I just think all of these tweets kind of prove that Tim Pool broke Jamie Mitchell a bit. But let me know in the comments what you think about this whole Timcast versus Jamie Mitchell situation.